Um, yeah, so like Benson, I'm a project coordinator for the Mid-Atlantic Megalopolis TCN. And I'm going to be demonstrating the new data cleaning tools that have been developed in the portal, in the Symbiota portals recently. And the Mid-Atlantic Herbaria Consortium portal is part of the SciNet network. So you'll see a few things here and there kind of referencing that. So if your portal is part of SciNet, then you should see very similar things on yours as well. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to start with Staten Island Museum. So this is one of our collaborators that is a little bit new. So we've just started imaging specimens from their collection, I don't know, maybe about like 3 or 4 months ago. And I haven't done any data cleaning with them yet. So there should be some nice treasures in there for us to discover together. So the first thing you do is you go to the collection profile, this page here, and then under general maintenance tasks, there's a link to the data cleaning tools. And feel free to follow along in your own portals. If you'd like, this is a live demo, so we'll just go through step by step. So you click there, and there's a few different types. So there's one for duplicate records, political geography, specimen coordinates, and taxonomy. So I'm not going to go over the specimen coordinates section. As you can see here in yellow, it's still in development. And we also haven't started doing any georeferencing for the MAM TCN yet. We're still in the imaging and transcription phases of the project. So I'm going to skip over that one. Now, some of this stuff may have been available already, and maybe you have used it before. So I'm going to spend just a little bit of time quickly going over the first two categories, and then the rest of the time we'll focus on taxonomy, which is the main one here to look at. So for duplicate records, I'm going to switch over to actually the Muhlenberg College collection because I know they contain duplicate records. So everything's in a different category. So if you click on list duplicates based on catalog numbers, then it will check to see if you have any duplicate catalog numbers in the system. We don't have any here. That's true for Staten Island too. If you find any, then it will give you a link here to fix that. Maybe it was entered wrong or something like that, or you might have to merge the records. Same for other catalog numbers, and this could be something that happens more frequently since this is typically a stamped-on accession number. So Muhlenberg, we're not recording accession numbers, so there's nothing to see in the demo. But that would be the place to find those. You might find some typos or something like that that you might want to fix. And then political geography, this actually links to this geographic distributions. It links to something that's been in the portal for a while. So that just goes down here to the collection profile page and tells you the country distributions to start with. And this can be a really good way to find stuff that that you may not be expecting. For example, I don't really expect any records from Ireland to be present in this collection. So it lists one record here. So I'm going to click on that number 1, and it will open up the record. I'll click on the pencil icon here because I might want to make an edit. And it actually looks like it is from Ireland. So if we zoom on the label, Castle Blarney Stone, Ireland. So it's actually correct. So I'm going to close out this record and the list and go back here. And let's try Switzerland. That's also something that I wouldn't expect. And click on the pencil icon. And there it is. So there's Switzerland. They're like the only two outside of North America in this collection, I think. So if you click on United States on the count next to it, it will start to, oh, I thought it would drill down. So it'll list everything that's in the United States. And that's what I expect from Muhlenberg College. Almost everything should be there. But again, you probably have used this already. This has been in the portal for a little while. So we'll move on to the next one from here. There's also geography cleaning tools, and this one is relatively new. So if you click that, it will run some processes and then dump out a couple different categories. So it looks for null country with non-null state province. So that just means the country may have gotten skipped during transcription. And then there's nothing, it didn't find anything in Muhlenberg College for that. Now this one, questionable states provinces. So what it's doing is it's checking the values in that field against the central table and seeing if there are any mismatches. So I'm going to click on list states and see what it finds. Yeah, so Pennsylvania Penn. So that's definitely a typo. And what's nice about this is that I can do all of the fixes just right here. I don't have to go back and to edit existing occurrence records or something like that just to fix the problems. So from this drop down, it says replace with. So I'll click that, and I'm just going to go down to Pennsylvania, select that, and click replace state. It's running there. So that fixed that really easy and quick, and that can save a lot of time. And all right, so then we'll go back to Cleaning Tools Index. That brings us back to where we started, and we'll go back to Geography Cleaning Tools again. And we'll run it again. All right, so it's showing that we took care of the questionable state provinces category. Now the rest of these questionable counties didn't find anything unusual there, but it did find several null county with non-null locality details. So I'm going to click on list records, and then it brings all this stuff up here. So the Mid-Atlantic region does not include Alabama, Arizona, or Florida. So these are things that we actually tell people doing transcription to skip. So it doesn't surprise me that they didn't enter county. It's a little surprising that locality got entered still, but that's okay. So I'm going to scroll down. Most of these are from Florida, it looks like. All right, so here's one from our region, Maryland. So Catholic University grounds. Now I don't know off the top of my head which county that belongs in, but I could Google around and try to figure it out. And then you can select the county from the drop-down list, and it limits it to the state of Maryland in this case. So just like we did before with the state, we would select the county that we want to do and then click Assign County, and it will update it right from inside this tool. Let's see if there's anything else that I could probably just know off the top of my head. Pennsylvania, maybe. Yeah, so let's try North Bangor, Pennsylvania, and find out what county it's in. All right, so it's Northampton County. So I'll scroll down to Northampton, select that, and click Assign County, and it updates it right inside the tool. So again, this is a really nice way to, find possible errors in your data. Not all of these should have a county assigned to them if it's a very broad area, for example. But it's definitely good to check back on this every now and then and just make sure that, you have all the data in there that you need. Okay, so let's go back to the Cleaning Tools Index. And those are the basics of the first two categories, the duplicate records and political geography. But I really want to spend time on is the taxonomy cleaning tools. This is a really nice function. I'm going to go back into Staten Island Museum for this one because I know they have a lot of taxonomic names that are incorrect. And the way that we do it for the BAM project is scientific name, we capture that at the time of imaging. And we're not using like controlled vocabulary or anything like that. We're just having them enter it into the image metadata through the EOS utility tool. So these are people that are just typing it freehand from label information. So there are a lot of opportunities for error there. Sometimes the information written on the folder is very illegible, and often these people don't have a lot of experience working in herbaria, so they misspell things a lot. So this tool has been really, really helpful in getting this stuff fixed really quickly. So the first thing you do is analyze taxonomic names. So you click there, and it brings up this other menu. So it's saying that there are 402 specimens that have not been indexed to the Central Taxonomic Thesaurus, and of those, there are 33 scientific names. So that's actually not so bad considering we have somewhere near 15,000 records in there right now. And then the next part is you want to select which taxonomic resource to use. So in preparing for this webinar earlier today, I found out that the Tropicos web service is down, of course. So this is normally the one that we use, but I'm going to check Catalog of Life instead, just so you can see how it works, and it's a pretty good resource too. If you leave both boxes unchecked, it won't look against external resources. It will just look from within the central taxonomic thesaurus in the portal. But because some of these could possibly be new names, I'm going to leave this checked, because if it finds a new name, I can import it directly from this tool instead of going to add new taxonomic name, and that can be really time consuming. Okay, so this next section, name processed per run. So this is telling it how many names you want it to check at a time. And 20 is usually a good place to start. For this, I'm only going to pick 5, because it does take kind of a long time to run, or it can at least. And I don't want to spend time waiting for it today. Start index. If you leave it blank, it just starts with the first one in the list alphabetically, so like an A in the genus name. Say like you know that you've looked through like the first 20 or so in the list, and they're really weird and you can't figure them out. But you can just type in L, and it will start at L in the list, or D, or something like that. And that's kind of nice too, because you can skip that first group of things that you've gone over a million times and can't figure out. I'm going to leave that blank, so we start at the beginning. In this next section, semi-manual versus fully automatic. If you check fully automatic, if it finds a matching name in one of these resources, it will automatically import it into the taxonomic database. If you select semi-manual, you have to just click and say, yes, that's the one I want. And I prefer to keep it at semi-manual, especially since this tool is kind of new. I like to have a little more control over what's going on in it. So I'm going to select semi-manual to begin with. And as you become a little more comfortable with the tool, maybe you want to switch to fully automatic. That's fine too. And then we'll come back to this last thing here, deep index, a little later. Okay, so I selected my options, and I'm going to click Analyze Taxonomic Names. It's actually loading pretty quick today. So it's going through, what it's saying here is resolving number 1, so it's looking in Catalog of Life for Anita and trying to see if it finds anything. It did not find it, so my guess is that it is going to be a misspelling. So next up is it checks close matches that are already in the thesaurus. And this is what it came up with. And none of these look close to me, so I'm not sure what this is supposed to be. I would have to do some additional searching on my own to find it. But it is telling me that there are 13 specimens that have that name attached to it. So one thing I can do is I can click on this pencil icon, and it will bring up the first record in that batch. And I can zoom in on the label, and maybe it will give me some additional information. So it looks like Anita is listed here, and so is Amaranthus. I am not a taxonomist, so I am not going to make any conclusions based on what I'm seeing on this label. So I'm going to skip that one for now. But one thing I can do is if I do find that it was just a misspelling, I can do a manual search here, and it will look through the entire taxonomic thesaurus, and I can pick the one that I know is right, and then click remap, and it will do that. So that's kind of the last-ditch effort if it doesn't find anything through the external resource or through the existing taxonomic thesaurus. So I'm going to skip that and go to this next one. Now this is an easy one. This is clearly misspelled, hemophilia, and this is the correct one here. So for this one, we didn't even have to import anything from Catalog of Life. We can just remap it to the correct name. So we're going to click remap to this taxon, and then that's it. It does it right there. I don't have to do anything else. Now you may remember previously scientific name used to be a drop-down option in the batch editing tool, and that has been removed, and this is what we want to use now for doing batch updates. So it would be either, if you have incorrect names in your database, either go through this data cleaning tool or the nomenclatural adjustments to make the changes. Okay, so let's try this next one. This one is also looks like just a straight up misspelling, theum versus thumb. So I'll click remap to this taxon on this one too. For Arena, I'm not sure what this one is supposed to be, so let's click on the Edit button and zoom in and see if, okay, it looks like it might be Avena. Oats, yeah, that looks right. So let me look at the next one in the list and just make sure. Yeah, okay, so it's supposed to be Avena. So I'm going to close that, and I'll go back here, and then in manual search, I'll type Avena and click Remap, and that's it. Now for this next one, it also looks like a misspelling. And again, for Staten Island Museum, that's what most of these are going to be. So I'll click Remap on this one too. Okay, so I managed to get all of them finished except for that first one, which is still a bit of a mystery for me. If you guys happen to know the right name, if that looks familiar to you, you can go ahead and put it in the chat box. So I'm going to go down to the bottom here, and I want to start again. Now you can see that I auto-filled the start index to Belinconda, so it's going to pick up at the last one where I left off. I'm going to keep the name process per run at 5. So I'll click Continue Analyzing Names, and it goes to the next group of 5. Okay. So again, this looks like another misspelling, so I'll click Remap to this taxon. Cambodia, that's an interesting one. Let's click on the pencil icon and see if we can figure it out. Kabamba, okay, so it's just slightly wrong. So I'll type that in, select it, and click Remap. Cardiospermum, so that just has an extra R in it. So I'll click Remap to this taxon. Celestius, interesting, didn't find anything in the list here. So I'll click on the Edit pencil again and zoom in on the label. And it's a little blurry. I'm going to switch to high res. If you don't know about this yet, this is a really handy thing. So the medium res, it just loads it so that it, a lower resolution image, so that it loads fast. But if it's a label like this and it's difficult to read, you can just switch over to high res and it will load a better version of it. So it looks like maybe Celastrus instead of an I there. Let me go to the next one and see what it says. Yep, Celastrus. Okay, so I'm going to try that. Yep, there it is. So I'll click Remap. Same for this one. There's 50 specimens. That's quite a bit. So I want to find out what that is supposed to be. So now I have it on high res and it's loading very slowly. Therastrium. Let's see what the next label says. Yeah, the other thing about Staten Island Museum is most of their specimens are quite old. The labels can be difficult to read. Okay, so it looks like the R is in there and it shouldn't be. There it is. And I'll click Remap. Yeah, so that's basically how this tool works. So far we haven't found anything that requires an import from Catalog of Life. Let me see what the next 5 turn up. If I don't see anything, we'll switch over to Muhlenberg and see if anything comes up there. Now, again, like what I said in the beginning, we prefer to use Tropicos, so I'm a little hesitant to even import names from Catalog of Life unless I am able to cross-reference it in Tropicos. But let's see what happens when I continue. Yeah, so again, these are all misspellings. So let's see what happens in the Muhlenberg collection. So I'll check Analyze Taxonomic Names, Catalog of Life, and I'll limit that to 5, and pick Semi-Manual, and then click Analyze Taxonomic Names. Now these ones in the beginning are ones that I've dealt with before and never found anything, and it looks like Catalog of Life hasn't found anything either. There are a lot of strange names in the Muhlenberg College collection, a lot of formas and things like that. So I'm going to try starting from, let's say, M, towards the end. Yeah, so what would happen if it found a name here? It'd say taxon found, and it would list the name, And then it would give you the option to import it into the taxonomic database. And when you click on that button to import, it automatically reassigns the records with that name to that name in the thesaurus. That eliminates quite a bit of work. I don't know if you remember how it used to be, but you used to have to first search for the name in your resource of choice, and then add it in the Add New Taxonomic Name feature, and then run update statistics. And those 3 steps for one name can take quite a bit of time. So this really is a really great tool for doing this type of data cleaning. Okay, so let's find out what this deep index specimen data means, or deep index specimen taxa. I'm going to click this. Actually, I'm going to go back to the main menu and do it from there. Okay, so you can see that what it's looking for are, kind of typical typos that might happen when people enter scientific names. So it's looking for leading and trailing spaces, double spaces, if SP or SPP or CF or things like that are included, that really should be in a different field. Now in this case, it found several null family tags and updated them automatically for me. It also found null kingdom tags and updated those. So this is something that's kind of nice to do maybe once every couple months or twice a year or something like that, just to kind of clean up your taxonomic names and make sure that they're indexing properly. Now for Staten Island, I think I did this already. Let me see if it finds anything. My guess is it's not going to find anything. While it's loading, let me go back to Muhlenberg, and we'll look at the last remaining things on my data cleaning menu. Of course, you can't do that, right? All right. Okay, so it did still find some things. It found more null family tags and null kingdom name tags. So that's great that it was able to update that for me. Yeah, let's wait for this to finish. While this is loading, does anyone have any questions for me? Okay. That's interesting, Jason. Oh no. Okay. I'll send this information on to Ed and see what's up. I don't know, Ben, if you're listening, if this is something that you might have an answer for?
Unfortunately, no, I don't have, I haven't been really doing any of the development for this module, so that would definitely, Ed would probably be a better person to ask about that. That does sound like it's a bug.
Just a bit.
So.
Or we're all really on the same page. Okay, I'll make a note of that and tell him it's, let's see, 14 and okay. Now I hope it's actually doing some real stuff in the background. The numbers that it's reporting are wrong. That's my hope, so we'll see. Okay, so let's go back to the data cleaning menu and scroll down to the bottom here. So the last part is this taxonomic distributions piece. Now I think this might be more useful for people who have really good taxonomic knowledge of whatever region they're working in. But let's click this and see what we get. Okay, so Yeah, so again, this is something that's been in the portal for a while, and you may have clicked on before. And I think this can give you a good sense of possible errors based on distribution for your known region. So let's try Viola. Ben, I don't know if you're still listening, but I thought this was supposed to then go down into genus and species when you click on it. Is that right?
It was if you click on the number.
No, it opened up the just a list of the records that match that criteria.
Oh, that must have been recently changed because it used to go to the genus breakdown as well.
I wonder if I go back up here and click on show family distribution and try it from this, if it will. No. Huh, that's interesting. So remember with geographic distributions, it would do that. Oh, now it's only showing 3 in here. This is when we find all the oddities, this is when we do a webinar, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's only showing there are 3 in New York for this whole thing, which isn't true. Okay, anyway. Well, that's one other thing to report to Ed, so I'm going to take a note of that. Okay, so does anyone have any questions about any of these data cleaning tools, in particular the taxonomic cleaning tools? Ryan, will these changes show us as identified by nomenclatural adjustment? I'm not sure I understand your question. You can feel free to unmute your mic and ask if that's okay with you. Oh, okay. Oh, I understand your question. No, these do not show up as a nomenclatural adjustment. This tool is meant for mainly misspellings and finding new names. So I don't think that it won't show in the determination history or something like that. In order for that to show up, you have to go through and change names through the nomenclatural adjustment tool. So in case you're wondering where that's located, you can get there through your collection profile page under the data editor control panel, add batch determinations / nomenclatural adjustments, and then go to the nomenclatural adjustments tab. And this is where you would search for any sort of name that you know is wrong for a group of specimens, and then you can update it through this tool, and that will show the determination history. Does that answer your question? Right, that's correct. Okay, so Jason, is remap just changing the name for each specimen, or is the name remaining the same and mapping the record to the correct name? Yeah, you're actually changing the name in the specimen. So it works similar to the old function in the batch update tool, where you're actually entering in new information in that field. And like I had said a minute ago, it won't preserve the original misspelling or something like that. Does that answer your question? Oh, okay, great. Okay, Andy, as project manager, do you clean up both live and snapshot collections in your portal? So I am only doing live collections. I think you could do snapshot, but the problem would be that when you refresh, I think it's going to overwrite everything that you did. So those changes really have to take place in whatever database the snapshot collections are using. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, is there anything else? Yeah, so the good thing about this webinar is that the tools are pretty, narrowly defined. Oh, it looks like Erica is asking a question. Oh, yes, thanks for bringing that up, Erica. Yeah, so let me go back there real quick. So in our portal, we only asked for a catalog of life in Tropicos, but any service or any resource that has web services can ideally be added. And let me just, I need to open up an email from Ed to make sure I'm getting the resources listed or reported correctly. Let me see real quick. Yeah, so he says that what's also available is Encyclopedia of Life, worms, and yes, and he's working on Index Fungorum, but it's non-funded, so he can't say for sure when it will be added. So those are available for use. You just have to request them to be turned on or off depending on which resource you want to use. Yeah, Ryan, I think that mainly the SignNet thesaurus is based on IDIS. Of course, like over the years, there have been a lot of other things added to it, both from other resources and then just from, experts, adding new names and stuff like that. Okay. Anything else? Oops. That's interesting. Yeah, so just have them turn that off, Andy, and then you have to pay someone to add Index Fungorum. Yeah, Worms was originally on the MAM portal too, and I was working with Ed to kind of like iron out some of the problems with the tool when it first was released. So I asked him to turn that off and only wanted Tropicos and Catalog of Life. So yeah. You can certainly use it. It won't find anything. So you can't go wrong, I guess. All right, another note for Ed. I'll tell him about it. Okay, well, if there are any other questions or comments, oh, it looks like I've got one person typing. You're very welcome, Ryan. Happy to do it. Okay, well, if there's nothing else, yeah, like I said, the topics for this webinar are pretty, it's not super broad. It's just like a new extra tool to help data cleaning go easier and quicker for you. So I guess we get out here pretty early today. It's kind of nice. Is there anything else you want to say, Ben?
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to jump in and say thank you very much for presenting for us today, Anne. It was great hearing about these new tools. I'm sure everyone in the audience thanks you as well. Please, the next webinar, please don't forget that we have another webinar coming up in just a couple days on April 25th, so this Wednesday. The same time, Linda Hardison will be joining us and presenting a webinar on the Oregon Flora Portal, which is a portal that's largely built using Symbiota. However, it's a very unique Symbiota portal in that it's had a lot of unique design and code added to it. Thank you very much for presenting again today, Anne. It was great hearing from you. And if no one else has anything to ask, I think we can call this webinar done.
All right, thanks, Ben.
Okay.
And thanks, everyone, for coming. It was fun.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.